Hey, welcome back to part 8 on rebuilding this Jeep. If you haven't seen the other episodes so far, make sure you go on back in and take a look. Most recently, I did a 3-part series on rewiring this Jeep using the Easy Wire harness, which worked out very well. In fact, I was able to take this out on the road and I actually took it to a local car show just recently. But to catch you up on some things, you may recall when I started this whole project, I had a whiteboard with a list of different things to complete. So we're going to knock a bunch of those things off that list here today, so stick around and check it out. It's been a while since we were looking at the board to see what we need to do to take this Jeep safely out onto the road. So let's take a look at our list. Gas tank is done. Okay, that doesn't work. How about this? Gas tank is done. Wiring is done. Lights, taillights working, done. Yeah, I didn't quite do that one yet. Check fluids. I checked all the fluids. I didn't do that on film, but that is all good. The rear body mounts, I just had to tighten all the bolts down, so that is taken care of, and the battery hold down. So here's what I had been using for a hold down, just a cheap bungee cord. And it had served the purpose for just doing a little bit of testing in the back alleyway, but I knew if I really want to get this out on the road, I couldn't keep going on with a bungee cord. And this battery actually belongs in the 55 Chevy, so that's got to come out. Not long ago, I was at a new junkyard that I found that actually had a couple early Jeeps in it, and I was fortunate enough to find these original hold downs, and they're actually for the 6-volt battery, which is a little bit thinner and taller, so you'll see a little bit later. I'm going to do some modifications. First though, I need to do some sandblasting to get that rust off. After blasting, usually I like to run a tap over the threads just to clean things up. And in this case, I also wanted to run the threads further down the rod, knowing that I was going to have to probably shorten these up to fit the modern 12-volt battery. So after cleaning these up, doing another test fit, what I realized I was going to have to do, since the battery is going to be wider, was actually have the one rod outside of the tray. And my solution to that was to use this larger piece you can see here that had a hole through it, and just weld it to the underside of the tray. One more test fit before paint. I should tell you a little bit about this battery. I actually picked that up at the junkyard as well. It was a 2-year-old battery that was only $25. So yes, I am a little bit cheap, but I also like to recycle things. So early on when I got the Jeep, I needed to redo the floors and the floor supports. And
it was just a lot easier to do that work with this tool tray um, out of the way. So at this point I felt that it was important that I put this back in so that I could put a passenger seat in it to go for a ride. And the metal that I used to do some repairs is actually some leftover metal from the Chevy Nova project. So this piece of metal is to repair the bottom of the tool tray area. And what I need to do is put a 90-degree bend in it. So I'm just using my cheap Harbor Freight brake to make this 90-degree bend. So here's the first test fit, and what I want to do is make sure that I put some register marks on here to set for where I want to make my cuts. This is a flange tool. This is designed so that you can put a small flange to have the metal overlap, and with the surface it will come out then level. So I wanted to do this to add a little bit more strength to adding this piece in. The opposite side of this tool actually punches small holes so that you can use that for spot welds. It's a little small, so I tend to use a taper drill bit to make the holes just a little bit wider. Next thing I really wanted to do was to replace that bumper that you may remember in one of the earlier episodes that I actually cut a piece of that bumper off to use to repair a crack in the frame. Now these early bumpers were riveted to the frame, so I'm having to use the torch to cut the head of the rivets off, and then I intend to come back with a punch and push out the remaining rivet. I thought it would actually be rather easy to knock out what was left of the rivets, but the ones on the top and the bottoms just really did not want to come out. So what I wound up doing was expanding the bumper slightly, and then was able to pry it off. This is the bumper I found in the junkyard, which only had some slight damage to it, and had one bolt that was still stuck in it. So first I need to torch that old bolt out, and then I can get this mounted up. I was having some problems getting the bolts to line up with the holes, so I wound up using a tie-down strap to pull the frame rails in a little bit more to help with the alignment. Now it's time to straighten out this bumper. It's nice how the state has provided these poles in so many locations so us backyard mechanics can straighten out our bumpers.
Pluses, I've still got to work on these. Hood's back on. The windshield is in place. The carb rebuilt, not necessary. This is not necessary, and the front bumper has been replaced. It's time for a road test. How about if I take you a little walk around the Jeep, see what it looks like at this point? When I recently took it to a car show, I thought I'd go ahead and put a CB antenna on it because eventually I'm going to be putting an antique CB up underneath the dash. The way this vehicle looks right now, things are kind of mishmashed and bare metal and the like, so kind of to go along with that look, you can see my means of putting this on was kind of the mindset that I had, was just taking what I've got and throwing it together. I put the original tailgate back on as opposed to the reproduction one. What I intend to do is to actually cut out the center of this and graft it into the reproduction, because the reproduction doesn't have anything. It's a blank area, and in fact the stamped area is completely different, so it doesn't look right. So we're going to try and make that look a little bit more original. I would try to save this one if I could, but it's just too rough. Moving around the Jeep, as you can see, it's completely legal and been on the street. Tires are absolutely junk, as you can tell, but hiding back here is a set of 4 brand new tires, and I have original rims. Here you can see I have one of the original 16-inch rims that's going to be going onto this Jeep. They just need to be clean, powder coated, and then I'll get the new tires installed. So back on the Jeep as it stands, as you can see, I got both the seats in here now, which makes it pretty nice, so I can actually take a passenger with me. All the wiring has been done, everything's working fine. I'm pretty happy with that. A lot of looseness in the steering, actually needs a little lube too. So the bell crank up front is going to have to go on the list. It's going to end up having to get rebuilt. The speedometer does indeed work, but where it is connected to the transmission, the cable seems to be intermittent, so I'm not sure exactly what my issue is, so I'm going to have to sort that side of it out. But it's not on the speedometer side, it's on the transmission side. One of the things I wanted on this Jeep is a Miro, and that Miro is not original or correct. It actually is off of a 47 International stake body truck, but I needed a Miro to go down the road, or at least I felt that I did. So I just happened to grab this when I was in the junkyard, literally just grabbed a hold of it and snapped it off. It was pretty rotted. Wound up making a bracket. Someone had already drilled a hole in the cowl, so I went ahead and just reused that hole for now. Eventually I'll get a proper reproduction mirror and mount it up on the hinge as it should be. Of course, I'll have to drill and retap 2 of those mounts there. If I end up reusing these hinges, we'll have to see. But again, I just kind of ran it together with some scrap just to get it out to a car show, and I think it kind of fits the look. Future, I'm going to have to do something with the fender. I would like to try and save as much sheet metal as I can, so I'm still not certain if I'm going to try and rebuild this fender. I know I can get reproductions of the cap on here, so I may end up rebuilding these fenders, or I may end up buying new. Decent reproduction new ones are about $400 a piece. This is a reproduction plastic lens. This is an original. Can't seem to find any originals around. What was in here before wasn't even correct. This wouldn't even fit. I wound up having to grind one of the rings off of the perimeter of it, and then make indentations for where the screws needed to go just to get this to go on. But at least it makes it look a little bit better in the front end, but I really hate that. I want to find the correct glass lens. Windshield is a new reproduction. I didn't show putting the glass in or pulling the glass from the original windshield frame. The original frame was rotted pretty bad down at the base, so there just was no saving that. I don't have the new weather strip for this just yet, so I will end up having to buy that. So just temporarily, I'm reusing the old one. As you can see, the piece that goes into the center here broke apart, but I just put it in where I felt I needed it to hold the glass in for me to just make a little bit of local trips with this. A little closer look at the tool storage area. I still have some other repairs to make in here, but I wanted to get this basically spot welded back in so that I could take this down the road with having a passenger seat in it. That's going to do it for this video here today. This is going to be the last video in this series, at least for a little while. As the weather is starting to change, I'm going to be shifting gears from off of this project. I have a few things to finish up with the 75 Chevy Nova, and I have another project which you might be able to see behind me up here on the lift, which is going to be introduced in another video here soon. So we're going to have quite a bit of work to do on that vehicle then as well. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate the comments. All the new subscribers, greatly appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. If you like what you're seeing, please share with some friends, tell them what's going on, send them our way. We would greatly appreciate that. Again, thanks for watching. Have a good day.